Hey guys, what's up? So today's video is just a get ready with me while I'm getting ready to go out for a lunch today, and I'm going to like a nicer restaurant, so I needed to look nice. So I figured I would film and show you guys kind of what my go-to glam makeup look is. This has kind of been my go-to for a little while now. If I want a glam look, this is what it is. So if you guys are interested in seeing this, please keep on watching, and please be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks! So I am using the shades Silk Cream and MFEO from the Jaclyn Hill palette, and I'm going to take that on my Morphe M441. And I did already have a little bit on this first eye, and that was because I started filming and then realized that like my lighting was just a little off, so I stopped and then went back to filming. So that was why I had a little bit on that eye already. But I'm just using both windshield wiper motions and circular motions to just buff this in the upper crease area to work as our transition shade. Next, I'm taking the shade Butter, and I'm going to take this on my Morphe M518 brush, and I'm going to take this right up against that Scotch tape that I have lined down to just keep everything nice and neat and give that real cat eye shape. So I'm just pressing it up against that tape and on the outer half of the eye, and then bringing that all the way through the crease, all the way from outer corner, all the way to inner corner. And I do use windshield wiper motions, but then I'll go in with some circular motions if I think it needs any further blending. Next, I'm going in with the shade Pooter, and I'm going to be using my Morphe M433 brush, and again, I kind of pack that on the outer half of the eye up against that tape, and then I'm dragging this on the inner, like 1/3 of the eye, and then just like lightly dusting it into that very inner part of the eye, but not bringing it as far in as I have the previous shadows. And I mostly use windshield wiper motions to get that product in there, and then if I feel like it needs any further blending, I will dust off my brush and go in with some circular motions or just a really light hand with windshield wiper motions, whatever I think it needs to just help buff that out and get it nice and seamless and blended. Next, we're using the shade Buns, and I'm using that exact same brush. I just wiped it off, and I'm going to be doing about the same thing, but just keeping it a little lower and not as far into the inner corner, keeping this as the shades go darker, we want to keep them a little bit lower and a little bit lower so that the lighter shades are blended up into the brow bone area, and you want to keep the darker colors a little lower on the lid. So I am just keeping that mostly on the outer half and ever so lightly buffing into that inner half of the eye through the crease. Next, I'm taking the shade Soda Pop, and I'm going to take this again on that M433 brush. Again, I just wiped it off, and this I'm really going to take right up against that tape, and then I'm just going to kind of smudge out from there. So I'll bring it slightly in the crease, but it mostly stays in just that outer corner of the eye. So I take it slightly in the crease, but only on that outer third of that crease area, and keeping it nice and low. Then I just go back in with that M441 brush to just buff over the edges of the shadow and make sure everything is nice and blended. Now I'm just taking my Tarte Shape Tape Concealer, and I'm going to take a brush that I honestly have no idea what the brand is, what it's called. I got it off of a super cheap set off Amazon back when I was in high school, so I really do not remember the name of this brush, who it's by, or anything like that, but it's just a nice flat synthetic brush, and I'm using that to do a half cut crease on the inner half of the lid. So as you saw, I kind of tugged my eye. What helps best for me is to tug my eye and then raise my eyebrow, and that helps for me to really be able to feel where the crease is. And then now I'm going in with MAC Tan Pigment on my MAC 242 brush. And I apologize, I realize I'm out of frame, so I'm getting in frame now. And I did spritz my brush with MAC Fix Plus as well before going in on the eyelid. That just makes it nice and really metallic. So now I'm taking the shade Soda Pop again, and I'm going to take that on my Morphe M432, and I'm taking this pretty much on the outer half of the eye at the lash line area. I take it a little, about 2/3 of the way in, I guess I should say, and then I take it up against that tape to almost work as wing eyeliner, but I take it up against that tape, and then as you can see here, I just kind of flick it outwards into that shadow, and it just adds a lot of depth right there against where that tape is to really emphasize that cat eye shape. So I am just removing the tape, and then I am going to be applying false lashes. These are the Velour lashes, and they're customizable lashes, so I will leave it linked down below. Now I'm using the Too Faced Hangover RX primer, and I'm going to put that all over the face to prime for foundation. Now I'm using the L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear Foundation, and I'm going to be applying this with my Morphe Highlight and Contour Sponge. Now using my Tarte Shape Tape Concealer, I'm going to be mixing the shades Fair Neutral and Light Neutral. So as you can see here, I'm putting on the Light Neutral, and then I'll do just a little bit of the Fair Neutral so that I don't have an overly bright under eye. And then I'm just using that same Morphe highlight and contour sponge to just blend that out. And I did put a little bit on my nose just because I felt like I needed a little extra coverage right on the bridge of my nose. And I like to use the real sharp side of the sponge to kind of get right up against that shadow when I do a cat eye look like this. Next, I'm using my RCMA No Color Powder, and this is in a sifter jar that I bought off Amazon, and then I'm applying this with that same sponge. Now using my Merle Norman Ultra Powder Foundation, and I use the shade Ultra Cameo, and then I'm using that exact same sponge again and putting this all over the face to set for the foundation in place, and it almost works as baking, so it's going to really keep it in place all day. Now taking the Kat Von D Shade and Light Contour Palette, and I'm going to take that middle shade, and I'm going to use my JH02 brush and just bronze up the skin. So I do some on the cheeks, I take right around the hairline near the brow, at the temple area, up at the top of the hairline, and then I do a little bit on the nose and a little bit on the jawline and neck as well. Going back in with that contour palette, I'm using the lighter, cool toned contour powder in there, and I'm using my Morphe JH05 brush, and I'm just using this on the hollows of the cheeks to carve that out a little bit more, and then I do take a little bit at my hairline and just a little bit at my chin area as well. Now using the Tarte blush in the shade Sleigh Bells with my Morphe JH04 brush. So now I'm jumping back into the eyes, and I'm going to take the shade Pooter, and I'm going to take this on my Morphe E17 brush. Sorry, my lighting had gotten off, but now I'm just going to dust this all along the lower lash line, all the way from inner quarter, all the way to outer corner. Sorry, I should reword that, from outer corner to inner corner. And I really love this brush for the lighter kind of transition shades on the lower lash line because it gets them buffed out beautifully, but without taking them too far down. So now I'm taking the shade Buns, and I'm going to take this on my Morphe E36 brush, and so that I can get this a little closer to the lash line. And I'm taking this about halfway in on that lower lash line and just lightly buffing that out. Now taking the shade Soda Pop, and I'm going to take this on my Morphe M432 brush, and so that I can get it nice and precise against that lash line, and I'm placing it really on about the only outer third of the eye, and just kind of lightly placing it there, and then dragging it down a little bit with that brush and dragging it out towards the inner half as well, just very lightly. And also, I did forget to mention that I did apply my eyebrows off camera. So I applied my Anastasia Brow Wiz in the shade Chocolate, and then I set them in place with their clear brow gel. And now I'm taking the shade Beam, and I'm going to use my Morphe JH42 brush, and I'm going to use this to highlight the inner corner as well as underneath the brow bone. Now back onto the face, I'm using my Morphe Continuous Setting Mist, and I'm going to set the face really quick. And then I'm letting that dry a little bit, and then I'm going to go in with my highlighter, and I'm going to be using the Ofra highlighters today, and I'm mixing Pillow Talk and then the Blissful highlight, and I'm going to be applying this with my Morphe JH09 brush. Alright you guys, that is it for this makeup look. I did just put on lower lash mascara, and I did put on the Jeffree Star liquid lipstick in the shade Celebrity Skin. But that is it. That is it for this makeup look. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you again in my next one. Bye!